London, October 15th, 2024, 2:47 a.m. The rain hammered against the glass dome of the Harrington Museum of Rare Antiquities like 1,000 tiny fists demanding entry. Inside, the most sophisticated security system in Europe hummed quietly, protecting treasures worth over 400 million. 17 laser grids, 48 motion sensors, pressure-sensitive floors, thermal imaging cameras, biometric locks requiring simultaneous authentication from 3 separate guards, impenetrable, or so everyone believed. At 2:47 a.m., every single system showed green, normal, secure. At 2:48 a.m., the centerpiece of the museum's collection, the Midnight Star, a 73-carat sapphire once worn by Catherine the Great, simply vanished. No alarms, no broken glass, no footage of entry or exit. The display case remained locked. The pressure sensors showed the weight of the jewel still present. Yet when guards made their 3 a.m. rounds, they found only a single item where the sapphire should have been, a small origami crane folded from black paper and written in silver ink 3 words, "Thank you." See Scotland Yard, 8:15 a.m. Detective Inspector Sarah Chen had seen impossible things in her 22 years with the Metropolitan Police. But this made no sense. "Play it again," she ordered, her dark eyes fixed on the screen. The technician, a nervous young man named Peters, rewound the footage for the 14th time. "Ma'am, there's nothing to see. The sapphire is there at 2:47:33. At 2:47:34, it's gone. No flicker, no shadow, no movement whatsoever." Sarah leaned closer. The footage showed the display case in perfect clarity. The Midnight Star sat on its velvet cushion, gleaming under soft lights. Then, between one frame and the next, it was replaced by the black crane.
But that's the point, Sarah. The Harrington locks are theoretically impossible to bypass. It defies physics. They just disappeared.
"That's not possible," she whispered. "Even if someone moved at impossible speed, we'd see blur, distortion, something." "There's more, ma'am." Peters pulled up another file, thermal imaging from the same timestamp. The thermal cameras show continuous heat signature from the jewel throughout the night. Whatever is in that case right now is generating the exact same thermal footprint as a 73-carat sapphire. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Check the crane's left wing. You'll want to see this. A friend." Her blood ran cold. 20 minutes later, forensics had carefully unfolded the origami crane. Inside the left wing, hidden in the precise folds, was a tiny microchip and a handwritten note. This chip contains the location of the Beaumont diamonds, stolen from Geneva in 2019. "A gift for you, Detective Chen. The Midnight Star, however, is mine. Don't worry, I'm simply returning it to its rightful owner." Sarah stared at the note, her mind racing. The Beaumont diamonds case had been closed, declared unsolvable. The thief had never been identified. How did this person know she'd been the one secretly consulting on that case? Her phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "Your coffee is getting cold. Third desk from the window, yes?" Sarah spun around. Through the office window, she could see her desk, her coffee mug still steaming. Someone was watching her, right now. She looked at the buildings across the street. Office windows, hundreds of them. Anyone could be there. Her phone buzzed a third time. "Don't waste resources trying to trace this number. By the time you read this, the phone I'm using will be at the bottom of the Thames. But don't worry, detective, we'll meet soon enough." And then, a final message. "P.S. Ask yourself why the museum's head of security, James Whitmore, took out a £2 million life insurance policy 3 days ago. Sleep well." Mayfair, London, 11:45 a.m. James Whitmore lived in an elegant townhouse that spoke of old money and expensive taste. Sarah rang the bell 3 times before the housekeeper answered. "I'm afraid Mr. Whitmore cannot see anyone today," the elderly woman said, her face pale. "He's unwell." "Metropolitan Police." Sarah showed her badge. "I need to speak with him about the museum theft." The housekeeper's eyes widened. "You don't know? Know what?" "Mr. Whitmore is dead, Inspector. He was found this morning in his study. The doctors say it was a heart attack, but what?" The woman lowered her voice. "He was smiling, Inspector. His eyes were wide open and he was smiling."
The most unsettling part of James Whitmore's death was his smile. He was smiling.
Like he'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. Sarah felt the hair rise on the back of her neck. Whitmore's study was exactly as he'd left it. Leather chairs, mahogany desk, walls lined with books on art history and security systems. His body had been removed, but the outline of where he'd fallen remained. Sarah noticed something odd immediately. On the desk, arranged with careful precision, were 3 items. A glass of whiskey, half finished. A vintage photograph from 1987. A single black feather. The photograph showed 5 young men in academic robes standing before the gates of Cambridge University. They were laughing, arms around each other. Below the photo, someone had written names: Whitmore, Ashford, Chen, Blake, Thornton. The Prometheus Club, 1987. Sarah's blood turned to ice. Chen. She looked closer at the faces. Third from the left, a young man with sharp cheekbones and intelligent eyes. It was her father. Her father, who had died when she was 4, who she'd been told was an accountant with no extraordinary past, who had never, to her knowledge, attended Cambridge. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, her hand trembling. "Hello, Sarah." The voice was deep, cultured, with a slight accent she couldn't place. "I see you've found the photograph. Who are you?" "Someone who knew your father very well. Someone who knows the truth about how he really died." "My father had cancer." "Your father was murdered, Sarah, and the men in that photograph, all 5 of them, were part of something extraordinary. Something that got 4 of them killed." "4? There are 5 men in this photo." A long pause. "Yes, and one of them is still very much alive. One of them is me." The line went dead. Cambridge University Archives, 3:30 p.m. Sarah had called in every favor she had to access the university's sealed records. What she found made her question everything she thought she knew. The Prometheus Club had no official existence, no registration, no faculty advisor. Yet she found fragments: a confiscated notebook from 1988, a disciplinary hearing transcript, a newspaper clipping from the Cambridge Evening News, dated December 12, 1987. 5 students questioned in connection with heist at Fitzwilliam Museum. Priceless Roman coin recovered under mysterious circumstances. The article was sparse on details, but the implication was clear. 5 students had somehow managed to steal and return a valuable artifact without triggering any alarms. The university had buried the incident to avoid scandal. But there was more. Hidden in the archives was a letter addressed to the university's chancellor, never sent. The Prometheus Club was never about theft. It was about proving that security is an illusion, that those who guard treasures rarely understand their true worth, and that ownership is merely a legal fiction. We took the coin to demonstrate a point. We returned it because we are not criminals, but we are watchers, and what we have learned about certain powerful individuals, their crimes hidden behind donations and respectability, cannot be unlearned. This letter serves as insurance. If anything happens to any of us, copies will be sent to every major newspaper in Britain. We are not afraid. CRH. Sarah stared at the initials, CRH. She pulled up the photograph again, looking at the names beneath each face. Whitmore, dead. Ashford. She didn't know. Chen, her father, dead. Blake, unknown. Thornton, unknown. She needed to find the survivors. Her phone buzzed. A text. Martin Ashford, 47 Pemberton Lane, Greenwich. But hurry, Sarah. You're not the only one looking for him. Greenwich, London, 6:15 p.m. The house at 47 Pemberton Lane was dark. The front door hung open, swinging slightly in the evening breeze. Sarah drew her weapon and entered. The living room was destroyed, furniture overturned, papers scattered everywhere. Someone had been searching for something. She moved through the house methodically, checking each room. In the study, she found Martin Ashford. He was alive, barely. Tied to a chair, his face swollen and bloody. His eyes widened when he saw her badge. Police, thank God. Who did this to you? Don't know. Wore a mask. Asked about the files. About Catherine. Catherine? Catherine who? Ashford's eyes rolled back. Sarah grabbed his shoulders. "Stay with me. Who is Catherine?" Not a who," he gasped. "What? Catherine is the name we gave." He slumped forward. Sarah checked his pulse, weak but steady. She called for an ambulance, then looked around the study. The attackers had been thorough, but they'd missed something. Behind a loose brick in the fireplace, Sarah found a small metal box. Inside were 3 items: a USB drive, a key with no markings, and a photograph of a woman, beautiful, dark-haired, perhaps 40 years old, standing before the gates of the Harrington Museum. On the back of the photograph, in faded ink, "Catherine, the one who got away, 2019. Back at her flat, Sarah plugged in the USB drive. It contained hundreds of files, financial records, property deeds, photographs, newspaper clippings, all pointing to one man, Lord William Carrington, one of the wealthiest men in Britain, philanthropist, art collector, friend to prime ministers and royalty, and according to these files, a monster. The documents detailed decades of fraud, theft, and something far worse. Lord Carrington had systematically stolen artifacts from private collections, museums, and war-torn countries. He'd used his charitable foundations as fronts for smuggling. And the people who discovered his crimes had a habit of dying, including, according to one file, David Chen, 1992, made to look like cancer. Sarah's father. She felt tears streaming down her face, but she didn't wipe them away. She kept reading. At the bottom of the file was a recent edition, dated just last week. Lord Carrington's collection includes the Midnight Star, purchased through illegal channels in 1994. Original owner, the Romanov estate. The jewel was stolen during the Russian Revolution and has been laundered through criminal networks ever since. Carrington knows it's stolen. He doesn't care. I'm taking it back. See. Sarah understood now. The thief wasn't stealing the Midnight Star. They were recovering it. Lord Carrington's estate, Surrey, 10:30 p.m. Sarah shouldn't have come alone. She knew that. But something told her that if she brought backup, if she involved the official channels, the truth would disappear like smoke. Carrington's estate was magnificent, a Georgian mansion surrounded by 50 acres of manicured grounds. Security was tight, but Sarah had a plan. The gala. Lord Carrington was hosting his annual charity ball tonight, raising money for his foundation. 300 guests. Easy to slip in unnoticed. Sarah had borrowed a dress from her sister, black, elegant, expensive enough to blend in with the aristocratic crowd. Inside, the mansion glittered. Crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light across men in tuxedos and women in gowns worth more than Sarah's yearly salary. She moved through the crowd, searching for... She wasn't sure what. Then she saw her. The woman from the photograph. The one standing before the museum gates. She was older now, but unmistakable, dark hair streaked with silver, sharp cheekbones, eyes that seemed to absorb all the light in the room. She was talking to Lord Carrington himself, laughing at something he'd said. He leaned close, whispering in her ear. She smiled, touched his arm. Then her eyes met Sarah's across the room. The woman didn't react, didn't flinch, but something passed between them. Recognition. Warning. She excused herself from Carrington and walked toward the garden doors. Sarah followed. The gardens were a maze of hedges and roses, dimly lit by scattered lanterns. Sarah lost sight of the woman almost immediately. "Detective Chen." The voice came from behind her. "I was wondering when you'd find me." Sarah spun. The woman stood in the shadow of a marble statue, her face half hidden. "Who are you?" "My name is Catherine Blake, and yes, before you ask, I'm the one who took the Midnight Star." "You're one of them, the Prometheus Club." "The last surviving member, I'm afraid. Well, besides Thornton, but he disappeared years ago. Changed his name, his face, everything. Probably wise." "You killed Whitmore?" Catherine's expression flickered, something like sadness. "James killed himself, Detective. He was dying of brain cancer. He had weeks to live. He chose to go on his own terms, and he helped me do what we always planned to do, expose William Carrington for what he really is." "And what is he?" "A murderer. A thief. A man who has spent 40 years collecting stolen treasures while destroying anyone who gets too close to the truth." Your father was brilliant, Sarah. He figured out Carrington's secrets back in 1992, and Carrington had him killed for it. Sarah's hand went to her weapon. If that's true, why not go to the police? Why this elaborate game? Because Carrington owns people in the police, judges, politicians. The evidence your father gathered disappeared the day he died. The only way to bring him down is to make the evidence impossible to ignore. The microchip in the crane, the Beaumont diamonds. A sample of what I have, enough to ruin him if I can get it to the right people. So give it to me, Catherine smiled sadly. I wish it were that simple. But you're being watched, detective. Everything you've done since this morning has been observed. Carrington already knows you're getting close. That's why a gunshot shattered the night. Catherine stumbled backward, her white blouse blooming red. Run! She gasped. The East Wing, second floor, the safe behind the Monet. Combination is your father's birthday. Go! More shots. Sarah dove behind a hedge, drawing her weapon, searching for the shooter. When she looked back, Catherine was gone. Only a trail of blood marked where she'd been. Inside Carrington's mansion, 10:52 p.m. The gunshots had caused chaos in the ballroom. Guests screamed and fled. Security rushed toward the gardens. In the confusion, Sarah slipped away. East Wing, second floor, safe behind the Monet. She found the room, a private study, far from the public areas of the mansion. The Monet hung on the far wall, a beautiful scene of water lilies. Sarah swung the painting aside. The safe was there, exactly where Catherine had said. Combination is your father's birthday. 071463, July 14th, 1963. The safe clicked open. Inside, Sarah found a leather journal filled with her father's handwriting. Dozens of photographs, artifacts, crime scenes, faces of powerful men, and a single envelope addressed to her. For Sarah, when she's ready. She opened it with shaking hands. My dearest daughter, if you're reading this, I am gone, and you have somehow found your way to the truth I died protecting. William Carrington is not just a thief. He is part of something larger, a network of powerful individuals who have spent generations acquiring wealth and artifacts through murder, fraud, and exploitation. They call themselves the Keepers. The Prometheus Club was formed to expose them. We were young and foolish enough to believe that truth and justice could prevail. We were wrong, but we planted seeds. Catherine, if she's still alive, will know what to do with them. The Midnight Star is more than a jewel. Inside it is a microdot containing the complete records of the Keeper's transactions since 1947. Names, dates, amounts, victims, everything needed to bring them down. Carrington bought the Star specifically to possess and hide this evidence. He believes it's secure. He's wrong. My darling Sarah, I never wanted this life for you. I became a policeman to make a difference, to fight from within the system. You chose the same path. I am so proud, but the system is compromised, always has been. Trust only yourself. Trust Catherine, and when the time comes, be braver than I was. All my love, your father. Sarah was crying openly now. Everything she believed, her father's ordinary life, her own career, the institutions she'd devoted herself to, all of it felt like sand slipping through her fingers. Touching, isn't it? She spun, weapon raised. Lord William Carrington stood in the doorway, flanked by two large men with guns. David Chen's daughter, I should have known you'd be trouble. He smiled, but his eyes were cold. Your father was brilliant, you know. Absolutely brilliant. It's really a shame he had to die. You murdered him. I removed a threat to very important people. There's a difference. He gestured to his men. Take her to the basement. We'll deal with her after the guests leave. Carrington Estate basement, 11:30 p.m. They'd taken her weapon, her phone, everything. The basement was cold and damp, lined with wine racks that probably cost more than her apartment building. Sarah tested her restraints. Professional knots, no give. I wouldn't bother. Carrington descended the stairs, a glass of wine in his hand. My men are former SAS. They know what they're doing. People know I'm here. My superintendent, your Superintendent Morrison? Lovely man. Attended my Christmas party last year. He'll be very sad to hear about your tragic accident. Apparently you became obsessed with conspiracy theories after finding some old photographs. Stress of the job. very sad. Sarah felt ice in her veins. You won't get away with this. I've been getting away with this for 40 years, Detective. Your father thought he could stop me. So did your friend Catherine. Speaking of whom, he pulled out his phone, showing her a photograph. Catherine Blake's body lying in the gardens, eyes open and empty. She was dead before she hit the ground. Expert marksman, my head of security. Sarah closed her eyes. Another death, another life lost to this monster. The Midnight Star, she said quietly. You know she took it. You know what's inside. Carrington's smile flickered, just for a moment. The star will be recovered. Catherine was theatrical, but she wasn't stupid enough to destroy something so valuable. It's probably already being tracked by my people. And if it isn't? If she already gave it to someone? Then that someone will die, just like everyone else who's crossed me. He set down his wine glass and checked his watch. I have guests to attend to. Don't go anywhere, Detective. He laughed at his own joke and walked up the stairs. Alone in the darkness, Sarah allowed herself to feel despair for exactly 30 seconds. Then she got to work. Catherine had said she'd planted seeds. Her father had said to trust only herself. Sarah twisted her wrists, feeling the rope dig into her skin. Blood made things slippery. Blood might help. 20 minutes of agony later, her hands were free. Raw, bleeding, but free. She found a wine bottle and broke it against the floor, keeping the jagged neck as a weapon. The basement door was locked, but old. She found a weak point in the frame and worked at it until it gave. Time to finish this. Carrington Estate, 12:15 a.m. The mansion was quieter now. Most guests had left after the shooting. Sarah moved through the shadows, searching for an exit or a weapon. She found something better. In Carrington's private gallery, surrounded by masterpieces that probably belonged in museums, stood a single display case. Empty, but not unused. Residue marks showed something had been there recently. The Midnight Star. Carrington had kept it here, hidden in plain sight among his stolen treasures. Catherine had come tonight knowing exactly where it was. She'd made a scene, gotten herself killed, but what if that was the plan? Sarah thought about the sequence of events. Catherine talking to Carrington, Catherine leading Sarah to the gardens, Catherine's cryptic words before she was shot. The East Wing, second floor, the safe behind the Monet. Why would Catherine know about the safe? How could she know the combination? Unless... Sarah ran back to the study. The safe was still open. She looked inside again, more carefully this time. There, in the corner, a tiny device, blinking red, a transmitter. Catherine hadn't just left her evidence here. She'd been broadcasting it to someone. Sarah grabbed the device, her mind racing. If Catherine had a partner, someone receiving this transmission, the study's computer was still on. Sarah pulled up the recent activity, an outgoing data stream, active until just minutes ago. The recipient, Interpol headquarters, Lyon, France. Catherine had done it. She'd sent everything, her father's journal, the photographs, all of it, directly to international authorities that Carrington couldn't control, and she'd used Sarah as cover. The detective investigating the theft provided perfect plausible deniability. No one would suspect that the real plan had been in motion for months. Sarah laughed, tears streaming down her face. Catherine had played everyone, including her. Impressive, isn't she? Sarah spun. A figure stood in the doorway, average height, unremarkable features, the kind of person you'd forget immediately after seeing them. Who are you? My name doesn't matter. I'm the one Catherine called Thornton once, though I haven't used that name in 30 years. You're the fifth member, the one who disappeared. I became someone else, someone useful. I've spent 3 decades working inside organizations that people like Carrington control, waiting, watching, building evidence. You knew what Catherine was planning tonight. I helped plan it. Catherine and I have been in contact for years. The museum heist, her death, all of it was choreographed. Her death wasn't real? Thornton smiled. Kevlar vest, blood packs. Theatrical, as I said. She's on a plane to Switzerland right now with the Midnight Star. But I saw the photograph, her body. You saw what Carrington's men wanted you to see. They're not very imaginative. Sarah's head was spinning, so all of this, the theft, the messages leading me here, was designed to get Carrington to reveal himself, to make him feel confident enough to confess, which he did rather thoroughly in this very room. Thornton pointed to a smoke detector in the ceiling. Audio and video, currently streaming to about 17 different law enforcement agencies. Outside Carrington Estate, 12:45 a.m. The helicopters arrived first, then the cars. Interpol, National Crime Agency, Serious Fraud Office. A coordinated strike that had clearly been planned for exactly this moment. Sarah watched from the garden as Lord William Carrington was led out of his own home in handcuffs, his face a mask of disbelief and rage. This is outrageous. Do you know who I am? I'll have your badges, all of you. But the officers didn't flinch. They had everything. Decades of crimes, documented and witnessed. Detective Chen. A woman in an Interpol jacket approached her, professional, sympathetic. Your statement will be essential for the prosecution. Are you ready to give it? Sarah nodded slowly. Yes, but I have questions first. About my father, about the people who helped cover up his murder. Catherine Blake left extensive documentation. It will take months to process, but... The woman hesitated. You should know. Your father was considered a hero by those who knew the truth. He died protecting evidence that will now bring down one of the largest criminal networks in European history. Sarah looked up at the stars, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. Epilogue. The crane takes flight 6 months later. London. The trial of Lord William Carrington dominated headlines for weeks. 17 counts of fraud, 8 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, countless charges related to trafficking stolen artifacts. He would die in prison, everyone knew it. But the real story for Sarah was what came after. Her father's name was cleared, his service record amended. A memorial was placed at Scotland Yard, honoring officers who had died fighting corruption within the system. Martin Ashford recovered and testified. He was placed in witness protection, finally free of the fear that had haunted him for decades. And Catherine Blake, she was never found. The Midnight Star was returned to the Russian government, along with the documents hidden inside. A formal diplomatic ceremony, handshakes and speeches, but no mention of the woman who had made it possible. Sarah received one final message, exactly 1 year after the museum theft. Dear Sarah, the work continues. There are other Carringtons in the world, other keepers hiding behind respectability and power. Your father knew this. Now you know it too. The Prometheus Club is gone, but its purpose remains. If you ever want to continue what we started, you know how to find me. Simply fold a crane. See, Sarah read the message 3 times. Then she folded it carefully, precisely, into the shape of a bird. She placed it on her windowsill and watched the sun rise over London. Somewhere out there, a brilliant thief was still watching, still fighting. And now, so was she.